What's poppin', soul? I'd like to talk to you just for a second about your measurement of expectation. So, because if you agreed to be here in the earth, and all of us had to agree to be here in our story. I talked about history, your story being written by society, your story being written by the simulation, your story being programmed of the matrix, it's being artificial by AI, right? So you have to know beyond your understanding that when you assign yourself to your purpose, and you say, how did I assign myself to my purpose? I'm just coming here to live, pay my bills, die, leave my grandkids inheritance, and all the things that society has told us that leads you to the evolution of a program in stagnation. So you may wonder, if you've been around a long time, so there's never gonna be a change if you're always doing the same thing in society, right? Such things as like your voting. Your voting never made attention to anybody, so never done anything for any community, right? Then you have the things with your law enforcement, right? You have some good law enforcement, you got some bad law enforcement. Then you got religion. You got some religion, then you got anti-religion. So always in the matrix, you're gonna have that thing that divides one another from each other because of belief. We were so believed, ladies and gentlemen. We were not taught belief. That was pushed down our throat. So from the beginning, if you're gonna believe in anything, first of all, you gotta believe in what? The American flag. That's what they taught you in grade school. I pledge allegiance, my allegiance. Every adult, every kid that came through here, I pledge my allegiance, if you're in America, to a flag. Why did you pledge your inheritance to a flag? When I told you were not African American, that you were more, a lot of people, the views dropped. A lot of people looked at one another like, what the hell is going on with this man, from Christendom to, non-denomination and God and Christ and all of this stuff, now to just being God deity. Yeah, God deity in your own consciousness, to know that you are the impact that the world is waiting on. So can't nobody do your role but you. Matriarch, patriarch. If you were to look at the family structure and you see how the family structure is today, we have lost the way, and it's here that we remember. It's here on these videos, with myself, Roy Hayes, BDL 1014, Young Elder, people like that, 19 Keys, that are bronze skins, are not even, if you're looking at that, then you're still, not even though the bronze skins now, that's what I say. But they happen to be those gentlemen that are in the circle of field of vibration of change that, that I, interact with on a vibration level. So that's the signaling that I'm getting from God, Earth, Universe, and Earth, me, Earthen Vessel, that's the change, So if you're talking about the first being lab, bronze people, dark-skinned people, the Moors, we were first back, in his story written, and we took our rightful place, as a wealthy people. Now in 2026, we are still here. So don't continue to identify with you being black or African American. You're not a color. You're not something that society have taught and trained you that you're pledging your allegiance to. African Americans pledge their allegiance to the flag. And you see what the flag has gotten you all the years. Those of you have pledged your allegiance and not done the research of yourself to know better of yourself, right? So it's insanity to continue to go down the same rabbit hole that you live and call yourself an adult, right? And I ain't knocking your idea and your ideology of living, soul. I'm just only trying to bring back to your remembrance the power that you have in you. The integrity that you need to have in you. Matriarch and patriarch. When we come to the family, the American dream is to tell you, get a job, get a good job, get a pension plan, get a good pension plan, send your kids to college, send them to the best colleges that you can afford, pay off all the loans and the debt, and you die, right? I mentioned that. What kind of life is that is for a creator of consciousness that is the pure God and knowing? So, that has been a program for you your whole entire life. If you have been living a while, you seen your friends, you seen your family, you even seen the people that you don't even like do the same thing that you do. And yet, you still feel the same way about them, not liking them. You know, you have some stuff that you don't like about them, but so in the end of it all, they're actually, everyone is all doing the same thing. You know, they're going to work, trying to make money, or they're making money. And if they're making a lot of it and they don't have the center of what you call a God consciousness, they're miserable, you know, searching for themselves outside of themselves, wherein you in the soul are eternal, you knowing all things and have tracked your course back from your historic past. You know, the best thing you can do as a soul, spirit, life being, light being, you being light, is to search out the deep things of yourself, God, because you're God, right? Even if you're looking in the biblical sense of it, you know, in the religiosity or religious text of it. So you still hear the words that are written by this Bible. Search the deep things of God. And who is God? You know, if you can't put a God outside of you, how could you search something deep that's outside of you? And you say, well, Shantavian, I'll go to my spirit. So sometimes your spirit lied to you. You done been in many situations where you thought that your spirit was in right standing with what you were doing and found out that that situation wasn't what you thought. Your spirit lied to you. Your Jesus lied to you. Your God, your consciousness of knowing that God lied to you. Why? Because you pledged your allegiance to what? A flag, something that was outside of you. And now that has been given a rule, a history by this society and the matrix that you follow, that brainwashed soul. Your belief has been robbed, shoved down your throat. Now it's time for you to believe in yourself more than what they have told you. And when you come to videos like this and the others I've mentioned, you have no choice but to mirror yourself, to look at all the decisions you make from henceforth. Even as I speak these words, there's this transmission coming from God, consciousness source through me. I am held accountable to what I say. So we all are. We all are a part of this destiny and purpose of change, you know. And it has to get back to the matriarch and the patriarch. I just got a call. This video won't be disturbed or distracted, you know. Matriarch, patriarch, the men and the women in the family, the men and the women, how they told you in the Pledge of Allegiance, you know. No. Back, you know, when the Moors, you know, when we were running, you know, wealth in wealthy places. So don't you know the men were patriotic? They would be out. You know what a patriarch is? A person out in society with other men, handling business, you know, with other men that are status, you know, with the land, you know, doing all the things out of society that men had to do, right? Patriarch, men. So when the women, the matriarch, they handle all of the land, so all the land taxes, they decided who was going to get the land. You know, when the kids grew up, they divvied out the land, and even they helped arrange the arranged marriages. That's why marriages went so crooked and crazy, you know, and people weren't sleeping and sneaking and geeking with each other, right? So women didn't have a backup plan when they were using, nowadays in 2026, where they're using men to pay for what they need, right? And then they get rid of them, and then they wonder why, you know, men out here killing women and women out here killing men and murdering one another, because they usurp spirit, you know, of a pledging of allegiance, you know, a user effect, using, you know, to consume, right, for contemporary happiness, right? So when it's contemporary in a marriage, most time women, they're gonna move on, you know, and do what's best for them, you know. And sometimes with the men, they're gonna stick it out, you know, with the kids. So it's vice versa. You know, you have one leaving for momentary happiness, which is women sometimes who are emotionally driven. You know, most women are mostly, driven. But at this time in 2026, there's a wholeness to that. So women are not just, you know, emotionally driven. They're coming into their places as the matriarch. So men have to line up as the patriarch and give those women their places. So, right? Because every woman is not looking for an escape route in the plan. Some women wants to be loved unconditionally, and some men want to be loved unconditionally. And so that's why you have the foundation of the family, the unconditional love that changes the world in our family home. So, and with that, you know, you have community. This is Shantavian Payne. So I was in transition to moving, and boy, you guys have no idea what it takes, you know, but it takes us being aware to know that you came here with a purpose. So to get these videos out, to get these words out, to believe that you know and you know it's true that God is in you. You know what I'm saying? You are in God. God's source consciousness. So this is Shantavian Payne. I'll rock with y'all the next transmission. See when I see you. You know what I'm saying? Out.